Hello everyone, John Maher here. It's Thursday the 14th of August 2025 and this is your weekly Grass10 grazing management update on the dairy edge. Today's story is really about location when it comes to talking about grass supply and grass growth. The average figures for the country will read well, but there's a huge variation there with people in the northern country probably making bales and people in the southern coastal counties feeding bales. The average farm cover for the week, for the record, 760 with a cover per livestock unit of 240, which tells us that we're broadly on average on target. Growth was 61, down from the previous week. Demand is 51, with 4 kilos of meal going in. And the pre-grazing yield had dropped by about 100 to about 1535. Pre-grazing yield should increase as we go towards the 1st September, towards 15, 16, 1700. But while the aim is to build grass during August and the growth a little lower than we would want, people are going to have to, I suppose, make things happen. Otherwise, we won't reach the targets that we try and set out. Now, there are challenges there with the weather forecast is there, and the grass predictions will support that. But on average, farms are on target. If we move on then and look at what the story is, I suppose, the variation rainfall is largely to blame for this variation in grass supply across the country. If you were to look at figures for Moore Park, for example, for the last 3 months, May, June, July, you see we only received just over 4 inches or 100 millimetres of rain. If you were to look at the same story for Athenry, the rainfall is closer to 400 millimetres and 14, 15 inches of rain. So, there's a huge variation there, and that's largely caused by, good growth conditions in certain parts of the country and certainly poor growth conditions, or you could say even the third level of drought in the southern coastal counties. And this brings its own challenges now as we try to build grass for the autumn. So, while some farms will be building cover and aiming to do that, others will be trying to hold on to cover and hold rotation length as we hope that rainfall arrives in the latter half of August. So in terms of real life figures on farms, about 60% of farms on pasture-based Ireland this week have an adequate supply of grass with an average farm cover close to 800. Growth rates have been above average on most farms relative to demand. The key target is to keep into, leafy, high-quality grass around 15, 16, 1700 to ensure that the paddocks are grazed out well so that the quality maintains itself going into the autumn. I suppose then the farms that are challenged then with grass growth are generally the southern coastal counties, but you could include places like southern Leinster as well and South Tipperary that are really struggling with growth rate. And, it won't be unusual for me to say that the, growth rates will be, somewhere around the 30 mark or even less in certain farms. And while you will have growth rates of 70 in the northern parts of the country, either closer or even above it. So huge variation in growth there. We'll deal with both scenarios. I suppose we'll deal with the farms with low grass supply primarily, which is, they're going to have to reduce herd demand where the demand of the herd is way outgunning the growth of grass on the farm. This involves like feeding meal, silage, other grass, whatever the case may be, removing other stock off the grazing platform or bringing silage ground back into the platform or walking the road to get access to grass. The one thing that we need to mention here is that while on some farms silage supply is adequate, there will be a level of, I suppose, scarcity of silage on some farms, but it is important to say that feeding silage will reduce the grass intake more than meal. It has a much better grass sparing effect. However, the primary thing here at this stage in mid-August is to try and hold the average farm cover, hold the rotation length, which should be about 25 days now, to use a strip wire to make sure that every piece of feed on the farm is used well, especially grass. No point in supplementing and leaving grass behind. In certain circumstances on certain farms, there are paddocks that are maybe deteriorating in terms of grass supply. Maybe parts of the farms are more prone to drought. And I suppose what I'm suggesting here is that instead of losing grass that they're grazed off quickly and those decisions to pick the right paddocks to graze, let the ones that grow, and let the ones that are going backwards or not moving at all, that they're grazed first. So really it's a case of trying to do the best you can with whatever feed you have on the farm. But letting the farm cover drop and, going in a fast rotation is not wise when we're trying to build grass towards the autumn. We all would expect that there has to be some change in the weather ahead. We've been here before, so, you have to capitalize when that comes. For the record, the dry matters are in the mid-20s, 23, 24 in the southern counties, more like 16, 17, 18 in the northern counties. I suppose at this stage, it's fine for me to mention targets like, autumn grazing targets of having, an average farm cover of 750, 800 by the 1st September, where you're stocked at 2.5 livestock units to hectare or a cow to the acre, closer to 900,000 where you're stocked at 3 or above per hectare, and being close to 28, 30 days in terms of rotation length by the 1st September. But the possibility of building cover is challenged where the farm cover ends up too low or the rotation length is too short. So people have to, make things happen here in terms of holding cover and holding rotation length in the current circumstances. I wish I had better news on the rainfall front for those on the southern coast. We don't. The grass report predictions, well, they will average somewhere maybe in the early 50s, high 40s, but some farms we already we know are down 30 or less. So it's a case of moving demand close to that point by bringing in extra feed, extra grass, and removing animals off the platform. That's important to say. I suppose when we look at our feature farmer for this week, who's based in North Kilkenny, Sean Phelan, and look at his supply of grass on the farm, you can see here that we're above 800 in grass supply. Big demand on the farm here now because we're highly stocked, but growing 68, eating around the same, cover per livestock unit of 225, but stocked at 3.8. Cows for this week we're on 18 kilos of meal, 18 kilos of grass, 2 kilos of meal, doing 22.5 litres at 450 fat and 370 protein. So things have been going fairly well. However, I suppose, again, with the lack of rainfall in the forecast, every farm has to be cautious now, especially in the southern half of the country. The covers of Sean's grazing range from 1,500 to 1,700. With the level of growth and demand outlined, it will be difficult for Sean to build grass without bringing in extra grass. So zero grazed grass will come in towards the end of the month to build grass on the farm. Interesting that Sean is, as I will say, spending the money wisely, investing in grazing. There's new water trucks going in now this month, new roadway going in as well. And Sean has and continues to invest in reseeding. There's about over 20 acres reseeded already, and more to be done, about 5 acres or so this month. So where there is a bit of spare cash around, people like me will suggest about investing in grazing, investing in grazing infrastructure, investing in soil fertility. And we only have about, I suppose, 5 weeks left to spread nitrogen fertilizer and phosphorus type fertilizers. So the investment in K can continue as well because of the returns that they give, especially in grass growth and the nitrogen use efficiency, which we all understand is get those figures in terms of nitrogen allowances are only going to get tighter. So continue to invest in grazing. I suppose that's the story for this week. There are challenges out there with weather, and people have to be wary of not shortening the rotation and not running down the farm cover too low. If you'd like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the weekly Grass10 newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website, and the link to the newsletter is also available in the description of this podcast. We'd like to thank all the people that support Grass10, AIB, Grass10 Agro, Department of Agriculture, FBD and the Farmers Journal. This has been your Grass10 update. I will talk to you all next week, and hopefully there will be some rain in the forecast to bring some new growth as we enter into the autumn. Thank you very much.